Today we're going to talk about a case that just happened. I've been watching it. It's Tennessee versus Daniels. And what happened is that a woman who was in a relationship with a married pastor went to his house and spoke to his wife. And as they was leaving, she told the pastor, "You broke my heart." And she shot him and she shot the wife, and killing the pastor. Now, over time, during the court trial, it came out that her and the pastor, she went to the pastor for spiritual counseling, marriage counseling, and they ended up having a relationship that expanded from Arkansas all the way up until he went to Tennessee. He was supposed to be a pastor, one of the pastors of one of the most prominent Memphis churches. And as a result of that, he had a relationship with her, and something went wild, and she ended up killing him. Well, during the trial, it came out that he had told her some things that obviously the wife testified that it was not true. That he wasn't leaving her, he wasn't trying to live a single life. She came out that he had became, at the end, he had became abusive. See, she was married too, and come to find out that she divorced her husband, and I guess she assumed that she would take on to this. Now, this is not the first time a pastor have had the scandal. If you go to the YouTube channel, Dawson Speaks, you would know how the church has become synonymous with scandals, especially sexual scandals. So anyway, she was talking about how she was lonely and how he approached her into having a relationship. But I'm going to give you my opinion on the trial and the relationship itself. See, so many women, it was so common back in my era that if you wanted to find a good man or wife, you went to the church, because they were God-fearing women and men, and they had their path with God. Well, over time, it's coming out that pastors are not perfect too. See, a lot of us put our pastor on a pedestal to think that because he's the pastor, that everything he say and do is of God, and it's really not. See, I'm going to say this, if a pastor comes to you and start making advances to you, for me, I would be insulted. Because first of all, you claim you a person of God. You supposed to be a follower of God. God called you to this ministry, and yet you doing some of the earthly things. Now all that pastor business came out, hers too. So, and the wives. But the question is that we have to ask is this right here. Because you're seeing so many pastors doing things and saying things in the name of Jesus, that you assume because he's the pastor that everything that he's saying is true. It's not a lie. Pastors can't lie. I guess, I don't know. I guess not. But then again, yeah. Has things become so bad that we have to feel like sleeping with somebody else's husband is more of you got to get yours or how you get yours? That that now you want to be married so bad that you have to, it's all about you. See, people now don't believe in trying to figure it out and talk it out, and if your husband is working and he got a job and he it's a long job and all of that, he don't have no time for me. He don't have no time for me. If you paying the bills and y'all working together, try to have something and stuff, and he don't take me out. He don't do this. He don't do that. And then you go craving for something. And you know what, my my mama and grandmama used to say, when you go looking for something, you gonna find it. You gonna find it. See, that pastor was sitting up here using the pulpit, not all, but him. He was using the pulpit as a plaything. In the videos, it came out how he was talking about some kind of game that they have an open marriage and stuff. And that's another thing that people need to get understanding about. That, everybody having an open marriage, when two people lay down, somebody gonna get some feelings. Somebody gonna want something. 9 times out of 10, when the man invites another woman into the bedroom, then what happens is that them two women gonna get together and exclude him. Then he gonna feel like a fool. Or better yet, the wife, who really didn't want it to happen, but she let it happen, then all of a sudden it was okay with them, and then all of a sudden the woman wants her husband, and then all of a sudden now she mad and clowning. See, women want something. Some women are so empty inside about wanting a man that they willing to accept for anything. Talking to a man in prison, and he telling you everything you want to know. See, that's the difference. See, you hear what you want to hear. That you're pretty, you beautiful. You don't nurture the inside of you. You just want somebody to accept you for who you are, but you don't want to make any changes in your life. It ain't got to be physical changes. It can be mental changes. It can be social changes. It can be educational change. But now you don't want to do that. You want somebody to accept you for who you are. And 9 times out of 10, the man that see that as an opportunity. It's getting winter time now. Somebody's finna fall in love. Some undesirable woman finna fall in love. She ain't got to be ugly. She just so not into herself that some man need a place to stay. So he gonna love her for a couple of months. Leave her in the summertime. Ain't that something? That's how children get here. That's why unwanted children get here. It ain't like some of these kids are playing here. Some of these kids are brought here because you got a woman that feels that if she doing all she can do for this man, he gonna leave his situation. He gonna love her more than he love anybody else. That's why you got men that got so many baby mamas. That's why you got so many women with kids. It's not that it's because there's a lack of something. Daddy issues. Most men got mama issues. They ain't seen their mama sleep around for so long and with so many men, they feel like she just a railroad track, and then they feel like all women are like that. She just something for that moment. Breeding purposes. But we gonna get back to that trial. The way her demeanor was, it's been like he's been dead for 5 years. He died in 2019. I think 3 or 4, no, 7 years. And what happened was she started talking about her daddy, how her daddy beat on her mama and how it affect her. I get that. I really do. I get that. That would mess you up. It messed me up too. But then I had to learn something. I had to learn. See, I was different. See, I felt like, I didn't need a man. But then I had to realize something. I had an issue that I had to address. But see, when you want somebody when you get to be the age of 18 and you got to stop looking for daddy. Daddy don't exist. You got to find that you got to find something in counseling or whatever to find out why it is, to deal with that hurt that your daddy or your mama did. But people don't want to do that today. Now they wanna stay the way they are, messed up in the mind, psychological damages, and then they want to date and get mad when things they use as toxic behavior and expect Prince Charming. See, when you messed up in the head and you want somebody to replace another man, especially if it's your daddy, you know, or your mama, one of your parents, you know, these men, you got men now living with women, they ain't working, woman working like a dog, and they just living in the house. See, those are issues. And see, when you got somebody like that, you can't fix them. That's a self-internal thing. Yeah, that's a self-internal thing. But you know, we want to sit here, and at the trial they talked about how her daddy, you know, that's what really gets me, when they sit here and talk about how they was when they were 6 and 7, and you 40-some years old. You 40-some years old. You went to college. You graduated from college. You was a clinical psychologist at a college. You mean to tell me somewhere along the line, especially if you clinical, you a clinical psychologist, you couldn't take your ass to go get no help. You couldn't take yourself to go get no kind of help. No kind of help. Sometimes the people we pray with, P-R-A-Y, are the people that pray on us, P-R-E-Y. But we get them mixed up. Yeah. She gonna do 25 years. I believe she gonna do some years. She gonna do it. You know, because you know what? It's sad that when something happens with black folks, these white attorneys want to talk about how bad your life was, how bad it was. But see, that was a decision making. See, she had 5 hours to think about what she was doing. But now her emotions got in check. See, some of us need to put our emotions in check when we dealing with stuff, but we don't know how to. When I get mad at somebody, when I really get mad at somebody, you know what? I don't talk to them for a minute. Because, see, I got to process my own feelings before I call them and tell them how I feel. You ain't got to cuss them out, but, you know, I tell them how I feel. Look here, you hurt me. You said some hurtful things. And then if they talk crazy to me, I ain't got to talk crazy to them no more. I know that this is a person I really don't want to fool with right now. Not in this stage of life. Yeah. She had 5 hours. 5 hours to think about what she was going to do. But gotta have a gun in her car. She had 5 hours to think of what. She even had 15, 20 minutes when she got to the man's place to think about what she was doing, because he wasn't there. She had enough time when she sat there and talked to the wife, that she could have said, you know what, let me go and get up out of here. You know, we don't want to put on this. This is another example where we don't want to own up to to our own responsibility. We want to blame others. See, because first time he kissed me, I would have said, no, I didn't come here for this. And I would have left, and I would have left the church. But now, you know what, she's so trying to get her groove on, she went along with it. In fact, she went along with it for over a year and a half. Yeah. Sure did. She didn't mind about it when she was going places with him. She didn't mind when they were hanging out together. She didn't mind none of that while she was doing what she was doing, because right now it was all about her. It was all about her, and he was all about him. No, he didn't think about his wife. See, some of y'all do some stuff and don't be thinking about what's going to happen in the ramification. That if you sleeping with a married man, that you know what, eventually, you know what, the party's going to end. That you know what, if you sitting here and you sleeping with a married man, yeah, you got the best world, because you know what, you not dealing with the problems that him and that woman are dealing with when they marry. But I tell you, when he leave his wife and come to you, them problems that he had with his wife going to come to you too. And then you're going to be the woman that he don't want to be with, the nagging, the one that's frustrated, the one that's tired. See, because if he cheated, he not only did he cheat on his wife, he cheated on her, and then he had 2 other bras. God didn't call for that, but you know what? Let him tell it. But see, he can't defend himself, because right now he having a conversation with God. I guess that's why Johnny Cochran had to go before him, because some of y'all gonna need Johnny Cochran when it's over. Y'all gonna need Jesus and Johnny Cochran. So when we see trials like this, when I see trials where people want to say, oh, they grew up in a bad situation, they got this, they this, you know what, there are avenues for us to get ourselves together. But we don't want to face our own accountability. Because if you face your own accountability, then that means that you got to take some kind of responsibility for your actions. Ooh. Yeah, that was a bubblegum moment. Get you sick when you think about it. You got to take care of your own accountability. You know, I'm going to say this. If you get out in the streets, you have kids, and you let them roam all in the streets, and you let them do all of that, and they grow up, and they be thugs and all of that and stuff, you know, you can't blame that child without blaming the mama and the daddy. Because when they was young, you didn't take no time to rear them. When they got 13, you didn't take no time to rear them. When they got 18, you didn't take no time to rear them. Then they went out in the street. It was okay when they killed other people's children and stuff, but then when somebody killed yours, all of a sudden you want to put a picture there on the shirt and say justice for so-and-so, so-and-so. Life don't work like that. So here it is. Lives have been lost. Lives have been lost. She gonna go to jail. The woman, the wife, you know, she ain't had to pick up her life. She had to relive that moment. He gone. I guess he took the easy way out. That was the easy way for him. God wanted to deal with him first, because he was claiming he was representing him. So the moral of the story is this right here. If you're not happy in your marriage, and I don't go to pastors. I go to reputable counselors. I go to there's Tennessee have the Tennessee Safety Net. You know, a lot of jobs offer counseling and stuff. I don't go to counsel. I don't go to the pastor, because you know what? Sometimes the church find out what you're doing. If you feel that marriage is not for you, get out. This is why I tell everybody that goes through a divorce, that you know what, that husband and pass or whatever that's going traumatic, don't be so in a hurry to get up and go date. Because it's involving sex, and that's a personal thing. It's involving exposing yourself. And if you have been a broken person, exposing yourself to somebody you don't even know that may or may be broken or praying on you or whatever, you're going to get caught up in the same mess. Now, in the trial, she said this. She cried, and she was writing a suicide letter, and she said, I don't know why this keep happening to me. Baby, maybe you should have thought about you. Maybe it wasn't them, it was you. And what you attract in your life. What you attract in your life. You can't be expecting a good husband and sleeping with dogs. You can't be expecting a good wife and all you know is bitches and hoes. It don't work like that. Life don't work like that. You can't expect something good but you still holding on to trash. You want something good, you gotta step out of your box. See, but you know what, you have women and men that they do all this stuff when they're in their 20s and 30s, and then when they get in their 40s, all of a sudden they want to, that's when we find ourselves getting grounded and rooted into life. And then all of a sudden you want somebody, but you got too many problems from your past. A whole bunch of kids. Drug charges. Sexual transmitted disease you can't get rid of. And then your name is in the church. Oh, if she get out, that, you know what, I'm going to tell you something. She going to be the scandal of any church she go to. Any church she went to. Y'all ladies need to pick. Y'all men need to pick. Don't be so in a hurry. You know, I didn't date for 2 years while I was going through a bad marriage. I didn't date for 2 years. I didn't date until after I got divorced. And then I waited a few more months for that. See, by that time, I had to get all my feelings out for him. I had to get them out. Because it wasn't fair for me to meet somebody and I'm dragging that baggage of hurt and disgust and whatever into somebody else that probably mean me no good. And I'm glad I did. Because I got me a banana. Oh, I got me a green banana, yellow banana. Girl, I tell you, crazy as a road lizard. But I love him so. And that's what I had to do. See, I had to change my life. I had to stop looking at everything that hurt me as a factor of me trying to find whatever that's out there. I had to find my closure with whoever hurt me, whether it was my mama or my daddy. I had to find that closure. I had to find that peace. I had to forgive them because they didn't know no better. And then I had to soul search on not only what I needed to survive, but what I need to be able to give to him and him to be able to give to me. I had to do that. And it don't take all no 10, 20 years for that to happen. It takes it when you are determined to find a good relationship, a healthy relationship, a helpmate, a submissive woman. Ain't nothing wrong with being submissive. A wise person, a person that knows when and when not to speak. Some things I don't even have to say anything, especially when one of us do something wrong. I just say, well, it is what it is. But see, we got to stop going somewhere looking for something and let something come to us. But we got to be willing to change that. We got to be willing to address our own insecurities, our own accountability of why marriages and things like that fail. I feel sorry for that pastor. Of course, he's dead, but you know what? Because if he was really rooted in God, if he was really rooted in the Word of God, it wouldn't have went that far. If it was really rooted in the Word of God, he wouldn't have hurt his wife. Some of y'all men have loving wives, and yet, you know what? Everything, I'm going to give you some good advice. Everything out here in the street that looks good ain't good for you. Women, just because he can make you drizzle over the chandelier, don't mean that he is not mentally messed up himself. And when you give somebody your body, one of the most precious things, I still believe that, it's one of the most precious things in the world. It's worth more than diamond. See, because back then, women didn't give up their bodies. When they did, it was like, that man felt like he had got the Hope Diamond. Now, he feel like it's just recyclable trash. Depends on who you messing with. You pastors, you know what? I ain't gonna go say pastors. You women, stop looking for affection in the church. The church is not for you to find a husband. The church is there for you to get a spiritual enlightenment. It's supposed to be giving you the energy to go out here and do the word. It ain't for you to go in there and put your pastor as close to God or to go look for you a husband, or pray for you a husband. No, you don't supposed to pray for a husband. You supposed to live so that you can receive a husband. Because some of y'all praying for something y'all got already messed up. You're messed up. But you want God to bring something good to your messy life. Come on now, you know you wrong for that. She gonna do some time. But y'all need to, you know what? All this, you know what? I'm gonna say this. God will send you somebody that is for you. But in order for you to know who you need to that's for you, You got to get yourself right. And some of y'all, men and women, y'all so messed up. Y'all got the ideal of marriage and husband so messed up it ain't even funny. Go find yourself before you trying to get somebody's last name. Then you'll understand what the real concept of marriage really is. Y'all go have some fun.